Thank you very much for watching this recorded presentation. We would like to thank the organizers for giving us the opportunity to present this paper at this conference. My name is Edgar Emmanuell García Ponce, and this is my colleague Irasema Mora Pablo. Today we will present needs analysis in higher education. This is a case study for language achievement. The purpose of today's presentation is to show you the current situation of English language teaching and learning in our country. And also, we would like to discuss the importance, the relevance of conducting needs analysis in Mexican higher education. So this is the outline of today's presentation. First, we will talk about the English language teaching situation in our country. We will then address the challenges and new directions regarding English language teaching and learning in Mexico. We will then present the likely importance of doing needs analysis in Mexican higher education. And to do this, we will present the case of the Universidad de Guanajuato, where we conducted a needs analysis to find out how English language achievement could be ensured. As part of the methodology, we will present the context and also information about the participants. And then the presentation will be concluded with the results and a proposal which we suggested to this higher education context.
So now we would like to ask you the following questions. Are we meeting the goals that we have established in our English language curricula? How can we ensure that linguistic goals are met in our context? Are those goals leading to our students' insertion in the labor market? Can our graduates who work in the labor market actually use the language they learned in our universities? These questions become important so that we can evaluate our language programs and make the necessary changes to help our students succeed in the labor market. This led us to analyze the importance of English and English as an international and global language. Most countries in the world now include English in their public curricula, emphasizing the important role English is expected to play in an increasingly globalized world. Mexico has followed similar patterns in this respect. English has been taught in public secondary schools since at least 1954, and in many areas of the country, English is not taught as early as in primary or even pre-primary education. Particularly in the context of Mexico, we have seen that Mexico's economy is increasingly dependent on the growth of its manufacturing sector. The Mexican government has undertaken massive investment in substantial reforms in education to increase the English proficiency of the Mexican population. Currently, having high proficiency in English is key to finding jobs in the highly competitive Mexican labor market. The new graduates and professionals are now required by the labor market to show an English certificate providing a minimum of B2 or C1 proficiency according to the Common European Framework for Languages. But what does this mean for our universities? The teaching of English in the Mexican public education serves over 90% of Mexicans, and this commences from primary school, then in secondary school, up to higher education. In these language programs and others, we can see some generalities. For example, we can say that all Mexican state universities offer English courses for BA students and public in general. These courses tend to be for general purposes. Mainly, they are focused on developing communicative skills. but they are designed and expect students with beginner levels. This is problematic because it shows that our public and private educational system has some limitations to develop the language skills. In other words, 8 years of learning the language probably is not working properly. An evaluation of how the different state programs are working today and an account of what has and has not been done in them are urgent. But the question that we would like to ask you is, are these courses enabling students to develop the language for diverse disciplinary activities in the labor market? In this regard, Davis claims that very few graduates have a good command of English, as do few members of the staff. The situation is worse still, with only a very small percentage of Mexicans able to use English effectively. Though the number of effective users of English really seems far too small currently for Mexico's best interest, most Mexicans really do not need to learn English. Very, very few graduating students would pass the first certificate examination, and many would fail the preliminary English test. Also, Davis emphasizes that these English programs have generally not been very successful to date. They have not met most of students' and graduates' needs either. The situation seems to be more complex than we think, but why? Some of the reasons are that English programs tend to start at false beginner levels. Most students enter universities with beginner or low elementary English. Also, there is a tendency for general English courses. These courses are mostly focused on developing students' good working command of English. Besides that, there are overpopulated classrooms. Still, we find teacher-centered practices. But above all, there is insufficient and/or inappropriate training for teachers. Also, insufficient and/or inappropriate resources. For example, lack of textbooks and didactic material. Also, few disciplinary teachers, for example, in areas of engineering, medicine, business administration, among others, appear to have a good command of English. What are the consequences of these limitations? There is a vast financial and human resources much needed elsewhere, wasted or ineffective public ELT. Also, there is an underdevelopment of educational and occupational levels, and a shortage of proficient English users needed by Mexican higher education and Mexican business. Based on this, there is a need for contextual research. What has not been done much in public higher education institutions is research on ELT and the attainment of its goals. This evidence highlights the importance of formulating alternative strategies in order to ensure learners' language achievement. How these constraints are addressed has been identified as key in improving English teaching and learning. It is necessary to explore some factors affecting teaching and learning practices that are beyond the direct control of teachers. These studies should focus on institutional, regional, or national requirements and needs, as well as the promotion of collaborative research work. Needs analysis becomes important. We suggest that we as teachers, researchers, and students should play a more agentive role in finding ways through which we can ensure language achievement in our context and those students' insertion to the labor market. Here, we are suggesting that we should make use of what we have for teaching and learning practices, but optimize the resources to promote English language teaching and learning. One way of doing this is through conducting needs analysis cycles in order to understand what changes need to be made to enhance teaching and learning in higher education. Needs analysis is useful for evaluating English programs and formulating solutions which match students' needs and their language achievement. In general, we can say that it provides insight into learners' and teachers' perspectives, beliefs, and perceptions for evaluating English programs. This perceptual information can be used to adapt language programs to the needs of learners or to promote the acceptance of a pedagogical change among teachers. Several definitions of needs analysis have been put forward in previous studies. For example, some of them defined it as an array of procedures for identifying and validating needs and establishing priorities among them. What students will be required to do with a foreign language in the target situation, and how students might best master the target language during the period of training. The systematic collection and analysis of all information necessary for defining a defensible curriculum. Another one deals with what these definitions have in common is the idea of needs analysis as a collection of systematic practices that help to achieve a concrete goal. Now, we move on to the specifics of our study.
Thank you very much, Irasema. And now I am going to present a needs analysis that we conducted at the University of Guanajuato. It is important to mention that this project was funded by the British Council in 2 occasions. Now, just to give you a bit of a background, the University of Guanajuato has also seen the failure concerning English teaching and learning. And this institution has formulated and promoted several strategies to enhance English teaching and learning. But this institution has seen limitations in the linguistic competence of students who graduate from the different undergraduate programs. However, employers from local companies have noticed limited English skills of recent graduates. And the problem is that this results in not hiring graduates from this university. Now, let me give you some information about the needs analysis that we conducted at this institution. The needs analysis had 2 main objectives: to explore the needs of stakeholders concerning the role and situation of the English proficiency in the Universidad de Guanajuato and the local labor market, and also to understand how this perceptual information can be formulated into a proposal of English teaching and learning strategies. 2 cycles of needs analysis were conducted to find out how language achievement could be ensured in this institution. The needs analysis took place between January 2018 and February 2019. And just to give you some information about this university, this institution offers 153 programs of different disciplines, ranging from high school up to doctorate level. And important to say is the fact that depending on the discipline area, each undergraduate program at this institution requires learners to take and pass from 4 to 8 semesters of general English courses. So there is no consistency regarding the number of semesters that students have to take in this institution. Considering McKillop's suggestions, we invited employers from transnational companies, university authorities, and decision-making entities, English teachers and students to participate in the needs analysis. As you can see here, the number of participants at the 2 stages. They participated in focus group interviews with the purpose of exploring their perspectives concerning expectations, needs, challenges, and suggestions concerning the English language. And to understand better their perspectives and therefore their needs, we also administered paper-based questionnaires. The data from the interviews and questionnaires were analyzed using a MaxQDA software, which enabled us to identify emerging themes and calculate percentages to understand the needs that these participants felt. Now let's see the results. Concerning employers, they claim that their potential employees must demonstrate high linguistic abilities during a range of activities. This because they have to perform different activities using the English language and, of course, the 4 language skills. They stated that from 80 to 100% of the activities require English skills for different purposes. However, they all express concerns about the English communication skills during work-related situations of candidates from the Universidad de Guanajuato. They explain that candidates who graduate from this university can demonstrate disciplinary abilities that they require in the work positions, but they do not have the basic skills to be able to communicate in English. As you can see here in this table, the other stakeholders also stated and felt different challenges and needs. For example, the absence of English as a requirement in some undergraduate programs, students' limited practice and exposure to the language, low salaries, lack of support from administration, students' lack of motivation, and other concerns. Interestingly, all stakeholders were able to suggest recommendations to increase language achievement at the University of Guanajuato, as you can see here in this list. And we consider these suggestions as part of a proposal that we formulated to the Universidad de Guanajuato. Now, just as a summary, the needs analysis that we conducted at this institution allowed us to understand how to address the challenges and needs of stakeholders. And we then formulated several recommendations that we put together as part of a proposal that we call General English Coordination and the Career Path English Programs. Regarding needs analysis, we consider that it is an invaluable tool because it enabled us to identify the needs of the stakeholders concerning English language proficiency at the University of Guanajuato. But the findings that we obtain are not conclusive. There is need for more funding to conduct more research. We also need to pilot the proposal that we suggested to the University of Guanajuato. And of course, more needs analysis cycles have to be conducted to ensure effectiveness of the proposal. Gonzalez claims that a proposal or change may not be implemented as designed because language policies often ignore their connection to actual language learning because they do not have a basis in reality and thus remain as good intentions on paper. Since the proposal comes from the participants' perspectives and suggestions, we think that there is a high possibility that the proposal is embraced by the stakeholders in this institution. But what does the evidence that we obtain mean for Mexican higher education? We think that we need to revise and check all EFL curricula at all levels, not only in university levels, but also in basic education, to ensure that students, when they enter basic education, start learning the language progressively. So when they get to university, they have at least an intermediate level that help them continue learning English and then progress to advanced levels. Also, we have to make use of the resources that we have in our higher education context to promote language learning and teaching. Based on the results that we obtain, we think that there is need for context-sensitive research to be conducted in Mexican universities. To this end, we think that needs analysis has a role to play. If we do not explore the needs of stakeholders in Mexican higher education, we will continue promoting the failure that has been reported in previous research. We have to take action and understand more the context in which we are immersed and also the needs that the stakeholders report. Thank you very much.